Verse 4, and the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was come into the court, outward court of the king's house.
Here come Haman. So who's in the court? Here come Haman, read.
To speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. And the king's servant said unto him, behold, Haman standeth in the court. And the king said, let him come in.
So let him come in. Let Haman come on in. Who's out in the court? Haman? Let him come on in. Read.
So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor?
Now, what's going to be done to him who the king delighted to honor? Read.
Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to do honor more than to myself?
Yeah, it can't be nobody but me. If you gonna honor somebody, it can't be nobody but me. I got everybody bowing down to me. Right? So it can't be nobody. You can't be talking about nobody but me. Go ahead.
And Haman answered the king, for the man whom the king delighted to honor.
Now listen what he gonna say. For the honor, to give the man that the king wants to give honor to. He thinking it's him. Go ahead.
Let the royal apparel be brought which the king useth to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head. And let this apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man withal whom the king delighted to honor.
Right.
And bring him on horseback through the street of the city.
Oh, you think he's gonna be him? Go ahead.
And proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighted to honor.
Okay. Go ahead.
Then the king said to Haman, make haste and take the apparel and horse, as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew.
Burn up. He is burned up.
He already pissed off to the utmost in indignation and wrath against Mordecai when he done had him build gallows to hang him. Now the king said, do this to Mordecai,
the Jew.
The Jew. Go ahead. The Israelite. Go ahead.
That sitteth at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken.
That's right. Go ahead.
Then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hastened to his house mourning, and having his head covered.
Yeah, because he's shameful now. Go ahead.
And Haman told Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh his wife unto him, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shalt surely fall before him.
You gonna fall before him. If he's of the Jews. Go ahead.
And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains, and hastened to bring Haman unto the banquet that Esther had prepared.
Now here come the banquet.
Get your butt back over
That's
here.
right. Come on back over here. We ain't through with you yet. Yeah. Go ahead.
So the king and Haman came to banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed even to the half of the kingdom. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's demand.
Damage.
Damage, like it. damaged. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, Who is he, and where is he, that durst presume in his heart to do so?
Who is he that's going to do this?
Destroy.
Destroy you?
Take who made my best wife.
My queen? And her people? Go ahead.
And Esther said, The adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman.
Right there in his face. Go ahead.
Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king.
He said that king probably looked at him.
You know that look.
that death look. He probably gave him that death look. Go ahead and walked out. Go ahead.
Then the king re-entered out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine. And Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was.
Oh, now he on the bed. He done went on the bed where Esther was.
Kill my woman. Now you on my woman's bed?
Go ahead.
Then said the king, Will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. And Harbana, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, Behold, also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, Hang him thereon.
Like I said, hang him. Hang Haman thereon. He built this gallows for Mordecai. I mean, that made it even worse. Just as bad. Because he's exalting Mordecai. Because Mordecai helped save his life. He just realized that's what the Most High just told him in a dream. You see? They exalt Mordecai. Now he not only on the bed with his wife, he gonna want to kill her, and now you done made gallows that hang my boy and save my life. Oh, he's gone too. He's finished. Go ahead. He said, hang him on the same gallows he plotted to hang Mordecai on. Go ahead.
So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified.
Yeah. He dead. Satisfied. Go ahead.
Chapter 8. On that day did the king Ahasuerus give the house of Haman, the Jews' enemy, unto Esther the queen. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her.
So now Esther done told the king, this is my uncle. I'm his niece. Go ahead.
And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman. And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Jews.
Right, so hey, she pleading with the king to put away this decree of killing us, putting us to death. Go ahead.
Then the king held out the golden scepter toward Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king, and said, If it please the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, and she wrote to destroy the Jews which are in all the king's provinces.
Yeah, 127 provinces. Go ahead.
For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen, and to Mordecai the Jew, Behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and to him they have hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews. Write ye also for the Jews, as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring, for the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring may no man reverse.
That's right. You know that signet, like he just put it in ink and just like it's like a notary public seal, or you know, everybody had a seal. The government, they have a seal. It's a seal. That's where the king's ring was. Made it legit. A government official paper. You see what I'm saying? Document. Go ahead.
Then were the king's scribes called at that time in the 3rd month, that is, month Sivan, on the 23rd day thereof. And it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews, and to the lieutenants, and to the deputies, and rulers of the provinces, which are from India unto Ethiopia, and 127 provinces.
See? That's right. But you see what day was it? The 320th day thereof. 320th day thereof. You know that everything's getting ready to end around the 360th day, you know. 320th day, you see what I'm saying? That's when it was written. Go ahead.
Unto every provinces according to the writing thereof, and unto every people after their language, and to the Jews according to their writing and according to their language.
Okay, go ahead.
And he wrote in the king Ahasuerus' name, and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent letters by post on horseback, and riders on mules, camels, and young dromedaries.
Yeah, they ain't have an internet. They ain't have the eyewitness news, did the newspaper and so forth. See how you sit them. Go ahead.
Wherein the king granted the Jews which were in every city to gather themselves together, and to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, to cause to perish all the power of the people and provinces that would assault them, both little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for a prey.
Go ahead.
Upon one day in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus' name, upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is month Adar.
Right, so this is when, what we celebrate now. I want you to go to Apocrypha, and I want you to go to, I think it's on page 57. I want you to start reading at chapter 16. I mean, you can go back and forth if you want to go back and see when, like we didn't go through the whole books of Esther, but we just gonna start here. This is where it picks up, you know, from verse 12 to here. Go ahead.
Where you at here?
Yeah. Page 57. Page 57, chapter 16.
Go ahead.
The great king Artaxerxes unto the princes and governors of 127 provinces, from India unto Ethiopia, and unto all our faithful subjects, greeting. Many, the more often they are honored with the great bounty of their gracious princes, the more proud they are waxen, and endeavor to hurt not or our subjects only, but not being able to bear abundance, do take in hand to hurt not, take in hand to practice also against those that do them good, and take not only thankfulness away from among men, but also lifted up with the glorious words of lewd persons that were never good, they think to escape the justice of the Most High, that seeth all things and hateth evil.
That's right.
What was that?
Go ahead.
That was 16 and what, verse what?
Yeah, and down. Now I'm on verse 5.
Page 57. Go ahead.
Oftentimes also fair speech of those that are put in trust to manage their friends' affairs had caused many that are in authority to be partakers of innocent blood, and had enwrapped them in remediless calamities, beguiling with the falsehood and deceit of their lewd disposition and innocency and goodness of princes. Now ye may see this as we have declared, not so much by ancient histories as ye may, if ye search what hath been wickedly done of late through the pestilent behavior of them that are unworthily placed in authority. And we must take care for the time to come that our kingdom may be quiet and peaceable for all men, both by changing our purposes and always judging things that are evident with more equal proceeding. For Ammon, a Macedonian, the son of Amathadah, being indeed a stranger from the Persian blood and far distant from our goodness, and as a stranger received of us.
Yeah, even with the Persians, say this Edomite ain't nothing like us. With his wicked butt. Go ahead.
Had so far forth obtained the favor that we show toward every nation, as that he was called our father, and was continually honored of all men as the next person unto the king.
See? The king had exalted Haman. Go ahead.
But he, not bearing his great dignity, went about to deprive us of our kingdom and life, having by manifold and cunning deceits sought of us the destruction, as well of Mordecai, who saved our life, and continually procured our good, as also of blameless Esther, partaker of our kingdom, with their whole nation.